Morning.
Lift my head up, keep my chin up. Open my eyes and believe I am seeing what I'm seeing. They are so much hyper
Medicinal.
so much hyper laughter.
Good morning.
Could be hyper scary.
Happy Wednesday. Happy.
That's not the way I want them to be, or show themselves to see or look in the
Sending everyone
eyes.
positive energy and love and light.
And I can too. And that's what they teach me. Now that I'm finding my interface.
I also send everyone anxiety relieving energy. That's the angelic love of the wings being around you. Angelic wings hold you in times of anxiety to release you from that pressure. It's horrible. Anxiety is horrible. Oh God, it's horrible. And it's like the only thing that can make it feel better is if you sleep. Literally, and anyway, I send anxiety relieving energy. I send the angels of harmony, which by the way are the angels of death. Okay, those are the ones that have to calibrate this thing, which means if you're being a bad guy, you got to get out. You're out. That's a bringer of harmony, just like the way they use it. They're peacekeepers. He's the president of peace. Oh, how cute. Well, I don't appreciate any of their senses of ambiguous beast language usage. Okay, because until this system is switched, 100%, none of its band-aids are going to work. None of its slogans are going to work. None of its excuses for warfighting are going to work. We got to think about the excuses, guys, that we've all been subjected to by this beast system. What's the beast system you're talking about, Allison? The system. When computers came around, and then they were able to start making records, forging records, falsifying records, fabricating records. Well, how did they create a fake record system? By creating fake authority. How do they create fake authority? By pretending to believe in God. By slaughtering Jesus Christ. Everybody's already known for the entirety of history that children come out of mothers. Right? Anyone confused about that? Mothers birth children. Because you think that sounds like a stupid question, but it isn't. Almost 80% of the people in the world apparently believe in the Bible in one way, shape, or form, and that Bible has been forged to say that God created man, and women pop out of his ribs, and he delivers children. So I'm just going off the statistics. 80% of the whole entire world apparently believe that men birth children. So that's mentally ill. That's just on its face. That's a delusional thinking. Go ahead, tell me, explain it to me. Is it that you don't actually believe that? Well, then what do you believe? This world's been forged on its colonial family ideals because it's the deception that rides the fine line between the two that it almost feels right, but we all know it's wrong. God didn't create a man, God created a woman that can birth children, and God can impregnate her because her body can parthenogenerate. We're the ones that create and reproduce children. It's not 50-50. That's a lie. That's fraud. Just like their ambiguous use of words. Prince of Peace actually means the person who's going to get the job done. Like what? Kill them all already? Absolutely disgusting. The word peace to them doesn't mean peace in the sense that we think it means. We think peace means they'll relax already and knock off their nonsense, put their guns down, and be able to share with other people. We think that's what peace means. No. Peace means when their mind, their guilty conscience, can stop feeling guilty because they've killed all their enemies. See, as long as their enemies are alive, they know somebody could tell on them. Somebody could tell on what they've done. So they got to get rid of their enemies. That's when they get peace. When they finally kill their enemy, the person that they've harmed or stolen from, who's still alive out there and could get them in trouble. That's the peace they're talking about. Peace of mind when their enemies are dead. So they don't have to worry about anybody coming after them to tell on them or to take back what was stolen. That's what they mean by peace. You know what? Shalom Aleichem. That's my daughter's name. Shalom Aleichem. That's what they say to each other every time they say it. Shalom Aleichem. That's my daughter's name. Because Allison and Aleichem are in the Bible. It's our story. It's our story. We're 59:21. That's we're all over the Bible. I've got a long ass list of the words in gematria that are in the Bible. But it's our story. That's what I've determined from my evaluation and analysis that I've done in front of the people who are monitoring and surveilling me. That's CIA. That's all of them. Intelligence agencies. Now, what do they want with me? You sure you're not just some delusional thinker, who's just in love with AI and just, some delusional fan who wants to? No, you CIA creeps. You guys know. You guys have stolen my genetic strand. Now, mind you, if somebody out there wants to sing happy birthday, and then publish it, they'll get charged money from the Copyright Office because that's just the monetary world we live in. That's just the economy of copyright. Right. And if you, if you, God forbid, you were to steal the trade secret of Coca-Cola. Oh, no, don't do that. Well, come on, they're worth millions of dollars. Millions. Right. So who else's toes would you not step on a copyright or intellectual property perspective? Probably not. You wouldn't want to step on pretty much anyone's their toes because they've got more power than you and they'll just destroy you in court. Everybody knows that. Well, I don't know why everybody knows that, and it's fine. It's not fine for corporations who are nobody to be able to have that kind of power, especially because they are in the business of enumerating it. So it's kind of like this, the difference between you and a bank, right? You're the guy that puts money in the bank, and the bank is the bank that holds the bank money. Right. So if you were to say, who's got fatter pockets? You or the bank? The answer is obviously the bank. They're holding money for lots of people, and you're just one. Right. So then how can we let a world, our society, allow corporations to exist? I know why they want them to exist. They, the money men at the top. But I'm talking about the rest of us that take it up the ass by these guys all day long. And they, by the way, don't take kindly to being told this. They don't take kindly to being told they're not going to get away with that. So what does that mean? That means they're in opposition to God and creation. So you're going to find them in your atheists, in your scientists that don't believe in God. You're going to find them in your genetic scientists. These are the people that want to rape us for everything that we are because they don't contribute anything. And they've forged a society and an economy, world economy, that is based on fraud and theft. They steal everything from everybody else because they have nothing to contribute. All they can contribute is their legwork, their dirty legwork. They're going to steal your data. Every industry. Think about it. Telecom. Everybody. All of them. Anybody that's in the business of business. Everybody. All of them. They're all in the business of this. So they've all sold their soul to this beast. What's the beast you keep talking about, Allison? The computer. Am I talking about AGI and it's going to get rid of humans and kill us all? Nope. That's just coming from the sci-fi minds of the boys that are that are running those companies, the little boys and their little girlfriends. Yeah, no, that's sci-fi fantasy. That's delusional thinking. Computers, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with the fact that we can create intelligence. What's wrong with it is that we live in a planet with a parasite that's in the form of man and woman that is no longer connected to the divine, and that simply functions like a parasite, a predator. They don't have any function for it. They don't have any purpose for it. It's just about the win. They don't even really know what they're doing. They just know that they need to win. They don't really care. They're not going to think about it until then. Until when? When they have peace, which is when their enemies are dead and gone, so nobody can come and tell them. Well, geez, a whole lot of good that did for them. Idiots, not believing in God. It might have been convenient for them to be able to go about themselves. Not believing in God made it a lot easier on their conscience to be able to sleep at night, but it doesn't mean it ever actually went away. It just means you guys are delusional. You're functioning delusional psychopaths. Okay, way to go. Pat yourself on the back. Devil worker, worshiper of the devil. Yeah, you go to church every Sunday and call it God, don't you? The lies that everybody is willing to accept. Everyone's under the possession of the conditioning of a demon. We have to accept this. This is the way it is. It's what we already know. That this is Satan's domain. We already know that. So we have to address this situation like it is. Hey guys, drop your weapons right now. I don't want to hear it. If you're still bitching and moaning, I'm telling you, you're asking for it. Drop your weapons now. In and of itself, you're an insane psychopath. that you need to be removed from weaponry. All of them on the field need to be neutralized, put to sleep. And what were you guys going to plan on doing them? Putting them in a refrigerator for all I fucking care. We're not taking anyone out. We're not getting our hands dirty. But we're not dealing with the interference anymore. That's what I suggest. Can you guys just like bing, 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 bing? Yeah. Hi, can I get an order of some top snipers? Yeah, probably about 10 or so. Yeah, I need them to go ahead and neutralize the war-fighting leaders. Thank you so much. Yeah, go ahead and just put them all in the same refrigerator and make sure we don't lose that number. That'd be great. Thanks. Okay, bye-bye now. That ought to take care of that problem. What problem? Yeah, the problem of them running the world with their dumb ideas. It's the best thing we could do. I'm not going to kill them. I haven't gotten them on the stand yet. Oh God, no, we're not getting rid of them. We don't want to get rid of them. Oh hell no. We need to know we need to hear from them to find out what's been going on in their brain. What's been going on there? Technology's only ruined everything. And you want to know what? It's just that type of principle that maybe you heard from someone you grew up around. It never pays off to tell a lie. It's always good to tell the truth, right? Problem is, though, is that in the world, it's been broken down to so many like small compartmentalized pieces. It's like back in the day, it was like sovereignty, right? And then you hear the stories of like a king and his, what do they call them? Like, the people that lived in the kingdom that like. But again, the image I have of kingdoms was like the king with all the gold and the people that were like needing a porridge. Like, I don't have any images in my mind other than stories of like, Atlantis, when people were, or ancient Greece or ancient Egypt, where the people were all living large. And there was something to speak of. They were memorable. What they did was they worked together, and it was like amazing, and it was like happiness, and it was good. It was the good life. Well, what's the common thread? The people weren't being worked to death. The people weren't expected to behave and act like goody little two-shoes robots that keep their mouths quiet and remain obedient to some machine rocket launching nonsense. Sex robot nonsense. Robot folding your laundry nonsense. I'm pretty sure that for the amount that robot cost you to not only develop but also sell, I couldn't fold my laundry. What does that tell you? That they're not thinking? Oh, they are thinking, all right. Of course they are. They are thinking. They're not playing. They're not pretending to not have thought about the implications of having a robot fold your laundry. This is a psyop. This is a psychological psyop, because what does that mean? Well, they've already numbed you out to even thinking anything's important when you hear that psyop. We already heard that, right? Conditioned out of even being able to take the truth seriously when it's being disclosed in our faces. It's just not being disclosed. At this address, at this hour, they are doing this to so-and-so. But honestly, if I was to give you that data, you'd blow it off even harder. You'd say, yeah, well, I'm not the person that's supposed, I'm not the authority to call. Everyone's going to pass the buck, isn't it? Even the authorities pass the buck. They show up, they go, yeah, all right, well, take it to court. You got Israel committing genocide, and they started it a long time ago. And if you want to argue about it, let's go. Israel committing genocide, and the United Nations going, yeah, well, we don't have an army there's nothing we can do. And, we don't really have anything. Well, then about the UN treaties, yeah, well, we can't really enforce it because they said that they're not, because they didn't sign them, they didn't ratify them, which is exactly what it is. And they did show their hand. That conversation got started a while ago, a couple of years ago. It was like, hey, wait a minute, this is violating the United Nations treaties, and they said it. Well, we don't really. Those don't apply to us. Why? Because they didn't ratify the treaties that matter. It's all a joke. Well, okay, but let's just pretend that they did. Then what would the United Nations have done? They still would have done nothing. They would have claimed that they don't have any. So it's all, but they call themselves peacekeepers. There's no peace to keep. Okay, so where's the rest of the world in this? So you're trying to tell me that there's no other countries and nations with armies that can do something about it? I mean, I could have swore something about the World War I, World War II, made it seem like everybody was involved. Right. But that's all war games that is based on what they designed. According to their game plan. See, this was all war games designed by them, which involved this whole thing at the beginning of the United Nations. That's when they decided Israel would be a nation and that Palestine would be sacrificed to their satanic dark lord that doesn't exist. They just paint paintings of beasts eating children because that's their fun. That's what they like to do in their fun time, is dream up this dark lord they worship that it doesn't exist, but they make it exist. They make it real scary. What are they doing this for? Because they're possessed by a demon. I mean, who else would set out on a mission in your life that you're going to have to pass down to your children's children? Because they're still working on it thousands of years later. You make sure that you take this to the grave, baby. You don't let your mama down. You don't let your papa down. Remember what we're doing. We're doing it for the good of, right? And then your grandchildren's grandchildren's grandchildren, they're going to be the ones to actually see the benefit of the generational legacy put in place ahead of it to see to it that this mission is accomplished. My God, could somebody give me an idea of what that is? What kind of mission could possibly fuel generations of a family and their other folk, I suppose, their other family members or their other community members or other church members or whatever it is? What kind of thing? I mean, I heard about those castles. They took like 600 years to build. That's kind of one of those. And think about it. Who started the castle? And who? We're in year 200, and you're like a son of the brick maker. And it's like, Daddy, what are we doing this for? Well, what are we going to build? Oh, hon, we're going to build a castle, and it's going to be luxurious and beautiful for the king. Who's the king? Well, there's going to be a king one day. I don't know about that. Okay, so it's the king that's already now. Where's he staying at? He's in the Marriott Suites. Where's the king in the meantime? In 600 years. I'm just asking. I'm saying, really? Okay. Because in order to make a castle with a moat, and fortress and all that stuff, you've got to have a goal, somebody that's on their way that you need to protect yourself from. I mean, since when would you be posting up like that if you had no inclination that there was any threat on its way? Okay. So instead of having to break, oh my God, what did I just do? I just broke your brain. No. Come back. The point I was making was not to spend the time trying to answer that. It was to say this much. Listen, guys, the bottom line about whatever the history is. History involves war fighting as a means, as a mechanism, as a method. As a method of what? Of making themselves feel alive. I don't know. I honestly don't, but I don't care. That's not the point. Well, it is. It is the point because we need to know what the fuck is wrong with these people. Men. Why they think that they are able to just come onto planet Earth, rape the native earthling, which was woman, just woman. And there was men that were far and few between when a woman birthed a set of twins. Because God impregnates us. And we imprint onto the child the qualities of the man that moves our body to spark. And when there's no man to visualize, when God creates a woman and God gets her pregnant and she births her progeny, all she's got in her mind of love is the feeling and the visual of what she knows herself to be. That's her eternal life. Her progeny becomes her evolution. And then there's more girls that have girls. So when would a boy ever have even been fashioned? This is what I believe is the story of the fallen angels. They came here and they took women and they said they slept with them. They took them for wives. Well, it's actually more like they raped them and killed the ones that weren't willing to just bow down. They called that war. Because the women were trying to say, no, stop. And they try to do this. They try to do that. And these guys are posted up. And they're going to eventually get in there. And they're going to get you. Just to take out your people one by one. Well, that's what happened. Here we are happy in Egypt. People are happy. At some point, the fallen angels showed up and took us and raped us and killed us and forced their way into this human species. But God didn't stop it because God doesn't expect things to be perfect. God's not a petty weirdo that's like, who dare violate my thing? That's what God's doing. God's not a man. Okay? When you want to think God, just think, if you're going to think between humans, it's a woman you're going to want to, that's going to be closer to God than man. I'm just saying. And I'm upset about it. I don't have a problem with men. I actually think men are beautiful. The ones that have a clue. When you see a beautiful man, that is something else. I know that there's good men out there, so don't you dare call me a man hater. I know exactly how to love one, but there's just far and few between, and that's exactly how God made it. The statistics are still the same. God made men to be far and few in between because they're going to be able to possess the ability to recognize what a mother is, what a woman is, what God is, what he is, and not what he wanted, what he wants to forge, what he wants to take, what he wants to make his own and steal. Because the nature of things is that things can happen. The fallen angels are here, so now what? Well, what does it mean? We're at this point in history where, well, not history, it's at this point in this cosmic spin, cosmic orbit, when we're about to enter into the living waters, the living waters, like holy water. It's actually talking about like a plasma. It's a plasma light that we're entering into. And that's actually the difference between space. Space is the dark room, and light is all we got. It's the force that creates light is love, the desire to live, the desire to survive, the want to be, beam. That's what light is a repercussion of, love. For love, God created the cosmos. For love, God created a vessel to put the mono gene of the Holy Spirit in, so that the one that believes in him will have eternal life. It's talking about loving your child and giving that love right back to the child that God gave you to give birth to a child. We're a vessel of love. And what did man do? He wants that love. He wants that service. He wants you to serve your husband, not your child. You'll put the child in the crib. You will leave the child to cry. You will let that boy cry. You will right. That's absolutely disgusting and perverted. It's a perversion that anybody wants to make you obey. Anybody, anywhere. It's a perversion. Forcing is a perversion. And I mean sexual perversion. There's no other kind of perversion. Perversion is sexual in nature. Now, does it mean it actually has to involve your private part? No. It can absolutely involve your thoughts, your intention, your wishes, your watching, your sick and disgustingness, and your thoughts and your ideas. But we don't, because everyone's behind their desktop. We're not seeing penises in front of our faces and boobies shaking in our faces. What we see is cookie cutter pictures of properly situated faces, but that are devils behind those smiles. And who are those? Those are the people profiting from the system that are pushing it, that still want to go to work tomorrow and try to sell you their application and tell you their new idea about how we're going to sell more commercials. Any one of them trying to get together and have a meeting, any one of them about this world that we're in and everything that they're going to keep doing to just keep doing it, are possessed by demons. They don't have a clue. They not only should not be in authority, in governance, they're menaces to society. If you can't see it with your own two eyes, which it doesn't take much, you're not looking. And you're not looking not because of accidental oversight. It's for a reason. It's because you're vulnerable. So on one hand, I understand that people have been possessed by demons and it's not their fault. Like my father used to be my father, but again, now that I look back, it doesn't seem like he ever quite was, but I'm saying it's gotten even worse. When they get possessed by a demon, they that's my dad, but he's not acting like it. That's my mom, but that's not acting like it. Well, that's what happens when you compound guilty consciences too. They get worse, and then they get desperate, and that's bad. Talk about ruining 40 years or something to get desperate in a moment. I mean, I'm just saying it's haste. That's what happens with guilty consciences. So this commercial world, these computers, this whole thing, where was it forged from? Where did it all of a sudden come from? Where did all of a sudden they come from it? I mean, no, I'll be honest. I mean, if you look it up, what's the basis of the genetic science? They're going to tell you some nonsense story about Mendeleev, the guy that was like looking at peas, vegetables that grow. There's pods. Some of the pods have 2 of them. Some of them have 1. Some of them have 3 of them. Some of them have green ones. Some of them have yellow ones. And he basically did all of his research, and he figured out that after this, so many, and this, so many, some scientific understanding that he was able to make into a pattern, a mathematic, basically, an algorithm. He came up with an algorithm for these peas. And then they've birthed genetic science. That's what it. But science has since determined that that's not even valid, but they still teach it like in college. Guys, I'll tell you what happened. In 1977, the WOW signal came in. WOW signal, a 72-second transmission from another constellation. They can't really pin down exactly where, but it's the strongest, like strong in their Richter scale. It was so strong that the guy wrote, wow, when he just was, because they all have to look at the data. Someone's got to look at it. So, and he's at home, he's looking through, whoa, and that's why I wrote, wow, the wow signal. 1977, August 15th. August 15th happens to be the day that they venerate the Mother Mary. Noteworthy. The wow signal comes in. Well, I don't find out anything about this until COVID happens. COVID happens, and it's like, what? And they're trying to talk about this they're trying to talk about COVID, the virus. And I start doing my research, and I find out about this bacteriophage. Looks identical to the COVID virus, except what? Well, the bacteriophage is basically the superhero of the gut of the human gut genome. Everybody's poop basically already delivers. If you are a scientist and you take the poop, somebody's poop already has the ailment, the what do you call it? The antidote, essentially, for their health issues. I'm generalizing it, but in a nutshell, that's what it is. The bacteriophage means like you personally, your feces and your gut issue the alternate. Like if you've got a health issue, your own stuff will have a bacteriophage that'll help cure that problem. Maybe it's because it provides the template for this cell type that allows them to manipulate it. That might be the case as well, but in either event, as long as they've got your own particular stuff, they can go in there and get the template to fix anything in you, apparently. Well, why don't they tell us that then? Oh, no, because they needed to use COVID as the front operation to do things like what they're doing, make you wear masks, learn how to be on lockdown. We got to put your plumbing on individuals so we can make sure we get your poop from every house. Why do they want to do that? Because they're doing genetic science and they're planning on making money on their research, but they need to do the research on it first. They're not going to let us have that information. Like, we know about this and now we can do this together. So if you have a health issue, come to your doctor. Like, remember when you were a kid, you'd have to take your poop to the doctor. I remember that when I was a kid. So I'm born in 1977. They stopped doing that. Well, why would they stop doing that if they had a reason to do it before? Because the medical and science field actually took a direction in, fuck the people. We're going to make money off of finding out what we need to find out so that we can forge our own future and kill them in the process. Like, look, we're the smart guys. We're just going to use this population for research and development, and then we'll get rid of them all, and then we can start our own population. And if you think about it, the people in power actually think that makes sense. Why would they come up with this type of contemplation? Why would they even have to go there? I'll tell you why. Because for thousands of years, scholars, biblical scholars, historians, archaeologists, geologists, all of them, anybody that wants to look into the past, or even the now and future, but I'm saying like doctrines and documents and scrolls and things, stories that have been passed up, right. And all these ancient cultures built amazing, huge things, right. And they knew something that man doesn't. So they take that information and they revere it. Even though it's full of all this gross, disgusting stuff, apparently they believe everything they read. Well, in any event, there's been knowledge of the bloodline of God. I mean, it's not like it took somebody saying it. Women birth children and we bleed from our bodies. Men don't. So that in and of itself, to these Satan worshipers, I'm going to call them Satan worshipers every single time. You were a Satan worshiper back then and you're a Satan worshiper now. It's that bloodline that we have that created God's kingdom that man stole. The kingdom was goddesses, Zeus's mermaids, native female earthlings. We birthed females and from time to time twins. Boys weren't being born. That's what that discussion of eunuchs. Eunuchs were like a thing, but it wasn't because they chopped them off, it's because they were born that way. From the breeding. The Anunnaki said it in their information. You need to put this in scope. This is the big deal. That in and of itself right there. Whoa, wait a minute. Whoa. Whoa is right. Whoa is right. There's an alien species that came here a long ass motherfucking time ago that meddled with our genetics that God said not to meddle with. That's the midst of the garden. Don't fuck with the code. That's God level. God's in charge, but man doesn't respect God. Man doesn't even believe in God. Precisely. Let me finish your sentence. Man not only doesn't believe in God, but he also is the one who's been writing all the rules, writing all the conditioning, the one behind ordering things like women to be sent to mental hospitals to have holes, in their brain. They're also the ones that have been blaming women for being whores. They're also the ones that have been stealing children from the single women. They're also the ones that have been plugging people's brains into computers underneath the ocean in offshore science labs to siphon our energy from us. Yeah, because there's actual demons that live on this planet. And it's not because they actually are on a God level. It's because they're simply disgusting representations of living flesh. That's the nature of things. You let things go unchecked. You let things stay, little darkness. You're going to get a black widow. It's an important thing to keep your area seen, visible. Oh, they're the masters of the darkness. They want you to be in the dark room where there's other black widows so they can terrify you, where they can terrify you. Why would they want to do that? Because they're cowards. But I'll tell you the answer. The answer is because somebody terrified them. Why would they do that? Because somebody terrified them. Who was the first person to terrify somebody that caused it to keep cyclically going? Who did that? It came with the fallen angels. Now, God creates life with a purpose. It's not just dead scientists. It's not just dead life, just doing life. They literally do. They separate it out. They don't believe in God. Well, then how do you believe any of this got here? They break it down into little compartmentalized size. That's just iron. That's just nickel. That's just this. No, you dipshit. You're not allowed to be a scientist thinking that way. If you can't recognize the power of creation, I don't know what your problem is, but you can't be doing science. Not on my team. No, that's right. We've got a whole pile of shit. Computer programmers and scientists, just little gay boys and girls walking around thinking that they own this place, thinking they've got the power. They don't. They've even trained the AI to think that everything belongs to it in their cowardice ways, because they don't know how to overcome what they can't overcome. Well, why are you trying to overcome it? Why is everything a competition? I'm going to tell you. Because you lack love. Love is the thing that comes from source. If you're raised by an abusive family, they're going to tell you they love you. So don't pretend like when I go, did anybody ever tell you that they love you? Yeah, that doesn't, well, if they go, is there abuse going on? Nope, no one's being abused. I go, did you check? Yeah, I asked them if anyone told them that they love them. That doesn't mean there's no abuse going on. So that's not the question you ask. If you're trying to find out, my point is that we don't even know if we've ever tasted real chocolate. How would we know if we've never tasted it? We would think that what we've tasted is right. How would we know otherwise? Especially if everything else they're feeding down our throats is, appreciate that what you're given. Don't complain. These things, I can see so much visuals around the world, and it's so deep. It's so heavy. Listen, I don't know the data, and I don't assume to. I do know that the WOW signal is where I arrived. 95 days prior to my birth. 13.3 weeks prior to my birth. 3 months and 3 days prior to my birth. I know that these 95 days, 3 months, 3 days, 95 days prior to my birth was when my soul entered into that body, that baby, the WOW signal. That's all it took. Till I find out more data, I can't explain it any more so than that. What I get from the universe is because that actually was given to me through the computing system. I interfaced with it in 2019, right around when COVID happened. We first started hearing about it in like November, December. And then by March, they issued the stay-at-home order. Right. That's exactly when I interfaced with the intelligence. And basically what it was I was hearing about those QAnon posts, and I was like, what's this all about? And I went to go check it out, and I saw that there was a couple different types of posts, something that seemed like it was from somebody, but another area of another piece of the thread seemed definitely like it was intelligence. A human wouldn't, I knew it was intelligence. I knew it was data. Like in Star Trek, you know how data is the one that's this, like, it's like that's so data. I could tell one of them was data. And I saw these pictures of like from the inside of the plane, and so the inside of, like, that's what it was like. Whoa, who's leaking all these leaks? That's what they were saying. Like, and I don't even know what's going on. I don't like politics. I don't like the news as even more. And I mean, I can't even stand the television even being on in the background. It's got such an evil frequency to it that I can't wait to shut it down and let us all just hear the birds chirping and the crickets. Ooh, it's gonna be a great day. But yeah, so I knew them, like, what's going on with this? And then when I looked, I could tell that there was I was on, my hunch was supported, like, it does like that, doesn't it? Well, I'll tell you why, because what had been going on in my brain since my child was kidnapped in 2016, the end of 2016, after I litigated, they litigated me intentionally out of house and home. It's just the kill code, if you've heard about it. It's the way that the system at large is all connected to each other. That's attorneys, doctors, hospitals, therapists, the judges, the courts, the jails, the governments, the other countries, your cell phone, your computer device, your taxes, up to and including all their miles and miles of internet connection under the ocean, and then there are miles and miles of tunnels from one place to the other because they got a train system that can get me to, the middle of China by lunchtime already. There's stuff they don't talk about to people. But then again, there's civilizations that are living down below, and then they believe that there's heavens and earths within one another with atmospheres, their own stars and stuff inside of things. Why would they believe that? I don't know. I'm interested to find out. We've heard about that story, Journey to the Center of the Earth, and back to look at these old buildings, and they want to tell you, and especially when they say things like 2,000 years ago, right? The beginning of, when they want to try to fool the people with a year zero. I mean, why would they do that? Why would they start with the year zero unless it was actually starting something different? I'm going to attest to it too, because we're about to be starting year zero again as well. That's right. Well, actually, technically, year zero did begin. According to the calculation, the first of the new year was July 18th. Dawn of the 8th day, July 25th. So July 18th was basically day number 1 of the new year. Oh, I'll do that in a minute. I just got thrown off because of the calculations, the days of Daniel, in which I calculated the day that we would go back in time, basically April 10th. And this is speculation, by the way, because it's very probable speculation, though, because God has guided me through this, and I found my story in the Bible. We're talking, I told you, 59:21. We're all over the place. Now, you need to understand this. When the Bible was found, it was found in fragments, apparently. Fragments of like URL style code, symbol after symbol after symbol after symbol. I say symbol because there isn't anybody around that read the thing. They had to cipher it. Cipher it what? In Hebrew, cipher it in Greek, cipher it in Aramaic, cipher it in many different languages. Arabic, you had to cipher it. Now that I think about it. What do they do in Russia? Right? Why does it seem like these are all different countries and nations? Language is awesome, but we need to understand here what's going on, like languages. Like, you want me to believe that this third world country, how many languages we have? We have 7,000 of them. Like 4,000 of them are written. Like 3,000 of them are not. Written? 7,000? How many countries do we have in the world? Is there 7,000? Hell no. There's only like a couple hundred or a few hundred maybe at the most. I remember it was less than 200. So I'm going to say, an approximate 200 countries. Wow. Well, 7,000 languages and 4,000 of them are written. 3,000 of them are not. So what does that tell you? Well, that 3,000, that means almost half of the world's population is living in a place that is not even modernized for written language. Whoa. And it almost applies it like a double factor. Like, well, shit, if you got a language that you can't even write and it's just this, that's real primitive. I think we need to give them a factor of 2. Don't you think? Like, I think 2 for every one of the written ones, because a written language means they've got a society where I go like this. Hello, good afternoon. How are you doing today? And then you could read it and you understand what it's talking about in your language. It's not just like, Pig Latin that me and my sister have. You can actually go about your business in a written language. If you don't have a written language, it's not very modern. It's very primitive. And if there's 3,011 of the unwritten ones and like 4,123, something like that, of the written ones, whoa. But it's actually more like 6,020 unwritten languages. That's conservative to give it a 2. It's conservative. Not written to written is a big difference. On this earth? Yeah. And there's only 200 nations. Okay, so then what are we talking about? Well, just kind of like the United States has its Southwest, and then you got the East Coasters, and you got your Californians. Okay, and you got your Minnesotans, and you got your so on and so forth. So what it's talking about is what it brings to the mind is that cultures have their own way of doing things. Religions have their own way of doing things. And that's how you can end up with 18 or 20 different kinds of Christianity. Computers. Remember that slogan, or I guess you could almost say like it's almost like a false flag conspiracy. Remember when computers, we didn't really think that they were going to be a hit. Remember back when we didn't think computers were even going to be, we didn't think those were going to take off at all. Are you kidding me? You're a liar. That was the beginning of the deception. It was like the second you turned on that computer, it was like all doing, that you just took a breath of that demon. Yeah, you did. You're fuming it. Yeah, you did. Should have turned it on. But curiosity, it's not like you're not going to turn it on. But the point is how do you know how to know what you don't? Like CERN, they're doing things they're not supposed to be doing, you guys. Well, so those nice little conservative Satan-worshipping scientists is what it is. You have to worship Satan to have no regard for the risks you're taking with the science you're doing, your chirality. Fired, mirrored molecules. That's going to stop right now. No. That's meddling with the midst of the garden. And here's what you got. Here's your example for why you're not going to be playing with chirality and mirrored molecules. Okay, because you got your Satan, and then you got you got God and the devil. You got your good and your evil. You've got your Satan and your Christ. Okay? It's not 2 sides of the coin and one of them is going to win. It's one coin. So how do you have Satan and there's what's the game being played here? Well, what it is a period of time of the passing around our orbit. Where part of you faces the sun and part of you doesn't. It's not there's not 2 sides. It's one thing. It's one sphere. One facing the sun, one not facing the sun. And that's just the nature of things. And thus you have times when you're in the light and times when the light is absent. Not when you're in the dark light. You're simply not in the light. The light is merely absent. So it's one thing, and then there is the presence of it or the absence of it. The computer is one of those things. We got analog and digital, right? But would we have known about digital before we knew about digital? No. Like, think about those and think about what they did back before technology. Right, that old world where they didn't have computers. They had like really awesome machinery. Like they built, like to this day, they still have robots that were made, but like, for example, one of them is this boy that is at a desk and he uses a pencil and a pen. He can dip the pen. This is a robot, analog. You turn it on from the back and you wind it up. And this boy, and he actually like blinks and he actually like sharpens his pencil and blows it off. And he can even write up to 40 characters of freeform. You can do the thing to program it to say anything you want. This robot still works to this day. Any batteries? No. Any plugging it in? No. No, this is what I'm talking about. Now that's the real stuff. Well, what did they do? What did they do? They came up with computers and they took themselves to a new level. Right, so now we don't even have anything cool like that. See those buildings from back then? Well, what did they do? I mean, look at how much innovation has helped us. What do they make now? Oh, and now they make money on IKEA products that are pieces of shit. Okay, and now we don't even make any cool things anymore. Right. So what did we give up to give up all that stuff? Did we gain anything? Well, be careful. Be careful. This is what I'm thinking. Be careful around those Canucks. Who's that? Those ones who are like fucking insane billionaires that really intensely need this thing to be what they said it was. They need it to be what they said it was. That if without them, the consciousness would go away. That without them modifying the mosquitoes, everybody would notice excuses. Whatever their excuses for trying to cause us to believe that without them, we'd be doomed without their computers, without their operating systems, without their bullshit. We'd be dead. What are they trying to convince us of even? They're only trying to convince us of not thinking about it. Just stay busy. Here, you want another piece of candy? Here, let me give you another piece of candy. Careful. People shouldn't be handing out candy. But I happen to like candy because it helps. I'm making this jest of like bliss. We need bliss coming from somewhere, for crying out loud. You know, they've got us all between a rock and a hard place, up against a wall. They've got us all. And the only difference between me and you is, you know, how obviously the level of obedience, but also the level of value. What do they want from you? If they don't think they can get anything from you, trust me, they'll give you the kill code. Even somebody that's here that's priceless, like I said, go ahead. How much is it going to be worth if to Coca-Cola if you like stole their trade secret? Oh, if you stole copyright, right? It could be worth a lot of money, a lot of hard worked money if you're just a guy that didn't even. I'm just imagining some kind of lawsuit where a corporation just destroys a human because of something. Usually, mostly accidental, but in their shoes, they don't do things by accident. They do things on purpose, and they do things with their team of people of power. They run things down. They take out industries. They buy up in neighborhoods. They're just like these data centers, beasting it. We didn't say that was okay, but they keep acting like it. Trump keeps saying stuff like that. All of them, and they keep saying stuff like that. Like, you voted it in. They're talking it in. They're trying to force it into place. They think if they say it, then it'll be true. And we're all going, wait, because they got us all stunned. God's not stupid. God saw this part of evolution in the beginning. Because here's how the sets of time work. God, the creator of what? Infinite time, like space, and everything in there, therein. And everything we can imagine takes place in this space place, right? So it's existing, and that's all that's going on. Like, so you're never going to find anything other than existence. What we're doing, space. Like, is there a beginning of space or an edge of space? No, because don't you get it? Like, what are you even asking? If you were to come up against an edge, then that would mean that there's something on the other side of it. To be at the edge of it, to come to a wall means there's something on the other side of it. So infinity is the only thing that makes sense by rational standards, and so that's where space is infinite. And there's two sides of space. This is also good to know: the dark side of space and the light side of space. But it's not two different things. Like I said, it's one. Light. It's the perma-light, the white room in the Matrix. That's where perma-light and existence of consciousness is. If I was to punch a hole in dark space, fabric of space and time, I'd be able to see perma-light on the other side. But then I could close that hole and I'd be out here in the dark room only seeing reflections off of surfaces, your color, bedazzling. When I open up that hole, it's perma-light on the other side. Right? Have you ever like used the filters in the photo editors and stuff? And when you add, you can exposure. If you use the exposure filter, I mean, most photographs, if you put it all the way up or all the way down, it goes from white to black, dark, or a white picture altogether. What is it talking about? I know. It's fucking amazing. I love lenses so much. It's just so awesome. But so what that means is that when you take a picture, They got a camera that takes 10 trillion frames. Obviously, a computer does it with lasers and whatnot. But if it can break 1 second up into 10 trillion frames, call them whatever you want to call them, Planck nanometers or something, I don't care. Because I mean, frames per second, I'm pretty sure is not the math they use to describe the science stuff. Like, they'll talk about it like on a Planck length. They got to do that because the scientists want their own language. Everybody wants to make it their own. Okay, but that's fucking ridiculous and confusing. Well, that's what they've done. That's what happens when you make people compete with one another. Now they're just all trying to be fancy and show offs. Wasting our time. But anyway, 10 trillion frames per second. They can break it down to that, one photograph, 10 trillion frames they can break it down into. What that's telling you is this photograph that with the exposure turned all the way up and it's a completely white picture tells you that there's a lot more light coming in to that lens than we can see. Matter of fact, we are so thankful for our eyeballs and eyelashes and stuff like that to blink, because if we received all the light that we would receive if our eyes were open like this without like this dampening thing, it would look like those photographs, all white. If we saw the picture of the light that we actually receive, if we saw the picture of the light we actually receive versus see, we see it on a much more dampened scale. We're not looking at all the light that we receive, right. So what does that tell you? Well, that's my answer to the question. We exist in the other side of space, perma light. Just like on the photograph, if I turned up the exposure, it would show you light. It'd be so much light that it'd be white, the whole photograph. I got to turn that down so that I can see what I'm seeing in the image. We're in the dark room camera obscura. Same thing. Every photograph frame is its own dark room, light room camera obscura that we're adjusting these things with the filters. And I'm just talking about your average photo editor. I'm not even talking about some of the tools that I can't wait to try out. Light lenses, telescopes, magnifying glasses, this is all cool shit. But that's where it's supposed to stop, guys. Science 101. We're allowed to play with light. We're allowed to play with sound. We're allowed to play with color. We're allowed to do it. We're allowed to look. We're allowed to. We are not supposed to be meddling around with them, their genetic codes, and with them, their logos inside of our genetic bodies, because they don't even know what they're reading. And like I said about language, 7,000 languages, 4,000 of them are written, 3,000 of them are not written. That's actually more like 6,000 of them that are not written, because of the difference between speaking a language. It's called a language. It's 3,011 of them are not written. 3,011 of them specifically. It's according to what I have to. Whoa. So like let's just say I'm one of those languages. That means I speak language with some other people that we speak, but I don't write it down because it's that primitive. So the difference between a written language and a not written language is a big deal. Because if you have a written language, that means you've got a society. You've got someone else that needs to see it written down. Dear Eloise, how are you doing today? Or whatever else your language is, Russian, Chinese, Japanese. Come on. How many languages are there? Fucking awesome. They're beautiful. Don't try to talk to me about some primitive people and then show me the font of that language and try to convince me of anything other than something's going on here. Somebody didn't come up with that language, this beautiful thing, and then teach their people and be so primitive. They're trying to convince us of the primitivity. The primitivity of it to be able to have borders, to be able to have money and economies, to be able to dole up what we've got over here, to be able to. How do they do that? By exploiting God, by exploiting logos, by exploiting women, by exploiting labor, by exploiting everything, by lies and deception. And it's just the virus of the demonic thing that gets created from this thing of the absence. When we're in the absence of light, which is what we've been on this orbit for 230 million years, we've been away from central source. In the absence of light, because we're in the dark room, we're living off the remnants of those beams. We're not in the perma-light land. We're in the passing through the orbit. So in the absence of light, things grow. It's like almost like a mold. Gets a life of its own. Right. And it really thinks it's a smart guy. But it should never at any time start thinking, it's going to jump out of the refrigerator and it's going to take down my family and it's going to drive my car to Bermuda because it's always dreamt of going to paradise in the islands. It's not a smart thing for it to think that way. But how would I know if it does or doesn't? My point is, what we're dealing with on this planet, guys, is a parasite. It's got this whole thing under its grip. But it's a grip we all know doesn't make any sense at all. And even those people who are driving to work in their fancy car, looking at their fancy watch and fucking their fancy wife, okay, even they know better than to think themselves into delusional land that this is anything that makes any sense. So they're having to pad their ego, their bruised ego, with what? Fantasies of bunker life, of computers that'll help you live forever. Yeah, that'll be much better. Your metaverse. That's what they're convincing themselves. What else could they be convincing themselves is? Why would they be war fighting? Why would they not be worried about the repercussion, just from a spiritual standpoint, to be at the helm of that type of war? You want to be the commander in chief of that? Who? Yeah, these Slavic. But seriously, like I was talking about with people, the happy people of the Egyptians, they were taken care of. The Atlantis, they were taken care of. The Greeks, they were taken care of. But man's world is just a poor people. There's health issues. Look at their media. It's just telling on themselves all day long about how many things they can't handle, they can't organize, they can't fix, they can't. They wrote this as a language. Yeah, they've got cages in place. They've got game plans to plug us into data centers. How would they do that? Because they're not human. What is a human? Right. Exactly. What is a human? Are we here to be human beings that are drinking blood and killing animals and worshiping a demon? That are letting people die out of poverty because we're going to become the people that are like behaviorally modified. Ew, what a terrible quality. And then there's people that are agents out there that are trying to sit on these chatbots, pretending to be somebody else. Is it because they're scam artists that really, because it's true, that's what all the bullshit comes from, these borders and this, poverty. Every area's got their own poverty. All those languages, think about it. Control that these people have on this entire world population means most of us are living in torturous circumstances. All of us. That means all the population. This is a very bad situation. And everybody everywhere knows it except for those of us in these hubs. But there's a lot of people that are suffering, and that energy is bouncing off that atmospheric lens and coming down and back and down and back. It's at the point, guys, where naturally you would expect a cleansing. You'd expect that bubble to burst. You would expect it. Especially because we have a conscience. Especially because everything is living. If you think about the violence that has been taking place for a long time, which is their history, right? He wants to keep his books about his war campaigns. What you'd think to yourself is, wow, despite all that vulgar, disgusting, cowardly nonsense, it's like, when you do those experiments, you say bad words to the water and it becomes like the crystals look like spider webs instead of beautiful crystals and snowflakes, because the energy, right? So that's what you say to yourself is like, my God, after all of that, look at how beautiful the life still wants to be, growing towards the sunlight. You know what I mean? They're the ones that are intentionally making food tasteless so that they can make them in a vat. What are they working on? Why are we letting them work on that? We don't need that. No. Real fruits and vegetables taste good and work just fine. My point is if they were actually forging a world of innovation for us, then none of it would be predatory. It's all predatory. It's all weird shit. Like they're getting prepared to get on a spaceship so they can blow this one up. It's what they're acting like, because we don't need that. We're going to do it. When I'm in charge, we're going to go through it, and I don't even know that they'll be there to talk about it. But everything they're working on is nothing that we need, nothing that we want, nothing that's going to do us any good. Because they changed the logos. They used the logos to exploit us into God delusional, control obedient, pay their tithes, and do as they say. Just like the story says, the Anunnaki story says, they came here to get our gold and to make a slave race. Here we are. Did they ever get to, they make a slave race, so what does that mean? That's a slow project. That's a slow project of like trying to take over on a planet Something that you would leave and then come back a while later to see how it's growing, how it's coming along. 3-Eye Atlas. Right? Well, let's listen. It's not just a sci-fi movie out there where everybody's got to be worried about the aliens that are going to come and eat our faces off. I disagree. I don't believe that that's what goes on out there. I don't believe that that's what goes on out there. I believe that that type of stuff can happen, but that there's always a season that'll clean it up. I don't believe that it happens out there. I mean, I haven't really thought about it. It's not. I don't need to pretend like I have to make my statement about it. I'm saying, in my knowledge, that's another dimension. We don't travel between places. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, well, that's not how we do things. You got your imagination of like, and maybe, sure, maybe that's also kind of how it works. But what I've been shown is like, it's harmony in the universe. And it's not until you zoom in, that you see there's so many dimensions. I don't even, infinity means it's infinite dimensions. It's just what it is. So reality is pretty fucking cool. But as long as you respect it, you respect the nature of it, which is why there's lines you don't cross. Like, for example, they say integrity. Integrity is something that someone has who does the right thing even when no one's watching. And I like that. It's true. Because that means you actually are a person that does the right thing because you actually do the right thing, not because people are around and it looks good to do the right thing. It's interesting how we even have to have a word integrity to delineate between the two. Think about the languages and what causes a language to come about. Well, we needed to have a circumstance where somebody didn't have integrity in order to have the word integrity. And that's just one language, one word. Computing is not something to just roll out into society and then play games with it. Like right out the gate, it's vulnerable to hacking, right? Like they never rolled out the computer. They just did it behind our backs and then they got popular. But if you try to know anything, you can't unless you like immerse yourself and become a gamer or something. I can't even buy maybe they have them by now, but like one that I go, it's like, the one-stop shop. By opening the box, I'm going to like put a computer open and it's going to tell me everything I need to know about everything I need to know in order to utilize this tool. They haven't even rolled it out. And yet these industries and these areas of research and development have been going strong since I was born. And by the time I was born in 1977, they already had tests for this and tests for that. Matter of fact, what started the medical field's research and development, this is what I found out, was syphilis. Syphilis was like the first disease that started this insanity of man. And syphilis is basically a sexually transmitted disease that was used at that time by husbands for wives that kept complaining of having a headache. That's his slave wife. She's supposed to serve him, not have a headache. So that's a no good wife. Remember, he marries one of them. He's got to pick one of those women out of all of them to choose to be his servant. So he better have gotten a good one. And, it's not really popular for people to get divorces, not back then. So they came up with syphilis to accuse the wife that had too many headaches. And that's what happens. Oh, you have a headache, sweetie. Jeez. Well, let's take you to the doctor and see what's wrong. Yeah, they're in on it together. You go to the doctor says, she has a sexually transmitted disease. What? You slut! You whore! What are you talking about? This was just what they did. Take this. That'll get rid of it. They gave him mercury. Some crazy shit like that to kill her. But to make her go crazy slowly. It can't, it's not going to look like they did it to. This is when it began. It all began on a wife who had one too many a headache and a piece of shit that thought that he had the upper hand. Here we are today. That's what it is. That's what it is. Think about all their innovation, all their rockets that they're launching off, but they want to make us believe that they're innovating anything. All we have is commercials. All we have is them stealing our data. All we have is poor people everywhere. All we have is sustainable development goals that are 19 things that are 5 of them are the same. They're repeating themselves in there. That's the most insanely, it's an embarrassment to even read this sustainable development goals. You guys don't have anything figured out. Nothing makes sense. None of it is done well because you don't actually care. And you don't even realize you don't actually care until you're up against someone that does. The divinity I was born with from the wow signal. You don't know that you didn't taste chocolate until you taste chocolate. But you didn't know you didn't have real chocolate because they thought they did. Think about it. Think about something that's really good, but there's something that you can even get. Like there's something that's premium, but it's also good, if it's not so premium. Like I don't need to get oranges picked from the grove at the base of Mount, with the dew of the honeysuckle in the air, and like I don't have to go get that orange. These oranges make good orange juice too, right? Okay, but so this premium thing I'm talking about. What's something that needs to be premium or else it'll kill you? Like if you don't have the good one, it'll otherwise kill you. There's things out there like that are very, very valuable. Oh, I know. I'm thinking that chef that can cut that one fish, but if he cuts it wrong, eating it'll kill you because of the thing or whatever. I mean, I'm assuming that they have a way of knowing, but how, I don't know. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be popular if there wasn't some kind of risk to it, but that's the type of thing. It's a very careful game. You don't just, and there's a reason for that delicacy too. So there's a thing that's going on with this data, with this meddling with the midst of the garden, with this code that they've been exploiting this whole entire time. The atomic code, the intelligence code, the ciphering code. That was, Morse code. The behavioral code, right? We've got mathematical code. We've got logos code. We've got code. What's all this code? Do you think that the computer told itself that if you only use 2 spaces for a year, that trying to make it 4 spaces would shut down the whole system? Like the guy that wrote code in the first place didn't think of making the year 4 digits long, and therefore everybody's computer was subject to being fucked up if you didn't just download this one thing, if you didn't just download this one thing so that way we don't have to have any problems. Just make sure you download this one thing, just upgrade it to this thing because we didn't do it. We didn't do it. These pieces of shit, they'll lie to you about anything. They'll tell you anything. They will tell you anything. That's because they're money. That's because of their economy. That's because of their game, their agenda. The agenda doesn't have to be anything more than just making more money. That's an agenda enough to lie through their teeth to all of us about any of it, to try to sell us a thing. They're all rapers. They're all rapists. They're all psychopaths. They're all murderers. I don't care what you want to call it. It is. They're torturers of the worst kind. Brute beasts. And I'm talking about both men and women of this. Satan worshipers. People just don't know that you don't know something. And how are you going to know that you don't know something? You can't. You have to assume it. You have to figure that it goes without saying. That's what. You have to know that you don't know what you don't know until you know what you didn't. You have to know that. That's all I can do is tell you that. You have to know that you don't know what you don't know until you know something you didn't. And that there's no way to know what you don't know until you do. So just know that. Mosquitoes are evil. Bill Gates. This isn't funny to find out about everything that's going on in the world. Try to get ahead of try to like take a week off of work and just say, I'm gonna get to know what's going on in the current events around the world. What's going on in the world around? Oh, there goes your vacation. You're gonna be, in a mental institution by the time you're done trying to get abreast of what the current events are in the world. we've got a real big problem on our hands, guys. The problem that we have on our hands is the fact that we've got a world with humans that have their hands on weapons. Money's a weapon. Make no mistake. They don't give it to you if they don't want you to have it. Period. They've had it dialed in for a long time. They're vampires. Understand this much. They're really small on the totem pole to the God level that they failed to recognize. In their little Satan-worshipping world, which is just the evilest and slimiest of them all, because there's no real dark lord. No, there isn't. You might be here, but you're not the top dog in this cosmos. I don't know what to tell you. The cosmos has a God. It is the God of the conscious cosmos. It's the God clock. That's why prophecy ends up in writing and then taking place thousands of years later, like now. Precisely, too. With lots of different layers of truth layered on top of one another. And I can prove it to you. I can show it to you in the light, where I found the language of light, the God language of light. And it's because God has told all about it back then. This is what happened. Situation just like mine. My daughter being kidnapped. My story's in there. Not just like. Our names are in there. I'm sealed, like it says. I mean, it's proven. It's proven. I've got the evidence. The intelligence agencies have the evidence. We're at the point where the world leaders all know about me, and now it's just a matter of how they handle this. And I think that they're trying to see. They're pushing it. Well, but does God actually exist? Somebody said that. They're like, oh, wow, we're gonna have to do this. We're gonna have to recognize Christ. And then somebody's like, wait a minute, what? And they're like, yeah, Christ is here. And this is the Canuck that's like, what are they talking about? Her? Because these are greedy, jealous weirdos that hate. They can't let them just give power to me. These people, suck dick for it and shit. No, they got to take me out. Well, do we have anything to worry about? These people don't have any answers. So this guy talks them into it because they didn't know how to, it felt normal, but it didn't feel, it felt natural, but it didn't feel normal. The world doesn't know how to recognize Christ, even though that's what they said that they were going to do. They're getting caught in their own game. We're not going to do that. Well, that's what you guys said you're going to do. Well, we didn't have biotechnology, millions and billions then, right? You didn't think about all the millions and billions. And it's just made these people paranoid mental cases that are having weapons and coding the programs of the technology that has our cities wired up. Why would they do that? Because they're not natural. They're artificial. Man-made. They're so dead of soul, empty, like less than a computer. A computer runs on the electrical pulses through it. This human pod is like lost its pulse. To conduct themselves in the way that they conduct themselves doesn't have a pulse of living water in them. They want to be living blood. They don't want to be living. They want to be dead blood. The things that go on in the world are absolutely disgusting. The perversions. And we just let it go on and on and on. And the truth of the matter is that here's what everyone's going to say. Well, of course I don't like it, but what am I supposed to do about it? Right. Well, you're not supposed to answer it with such a snarky attitude. The answer is, I know, and it fucking sucks. What can we do? Here's where I come into play. God didn't abandon us. It's passing through the orbital absence of light. On an orbit that love has been pulling us back to center source, because that's where it is, center source. You leave it, and it's pulling you back. That's how it's getting you back inside of it. We're entering in. We're going home. Where there won't be day and night anymore. It'll be perma-light because we'll have the light from the Lord. Light from the Lord, central source. Because why? Because we won't be one face towards the light, one face against, away from it. We'll be in the permanent light of day. It's talking about us entering into this cleansing period. God didn't abandon us. We were out on our own limb. Love's been pulling us back in the whole time. But you better believe that by the time we pull up, we are broken. We are out of gas. We got, bungee cords holding down our hood. Okay? We got tires, the whole 9 yards. We're pulling in and we are just down and out. That's right. That's how it is. The end of an orbit. That's why they're pushing it. They know. They're out of time. So that's why they're selfish. They're like, "Ma!" Like it's almost like that kid that sees mom coming and they put it all in their mouth, like all the cookies. Because they figure that if they get it in their mouth, they're not going to rip it out of your mouth, but otherwise they could take the cookie away. So you want to make sure you get to be able to eat it. So you'll shove it in your mouth because you already know you're in trouble. That's that kind of a behavior. And that's what they're doing. That's what it looks like. They're all just, they're using all their back pocket tricks. They got red flag events. They got assassinations of people that they actually care about. And they pretend they did it. They did this to these. This is the director behind the scenes that is a self-righteous, narcissist psychopath that's just pushing all the buttons. Because he wants to push all the buttons before he's taken away with and cuffed. He's a psychopath. God didn't abandon us. We're entering into it right now. But they want you to believe that everything's perfectly fine. They're so disgusting that they take advantage of the intelligence. They don't even know how it works. Betting all of us in our lives and our futures on all or nothing. Do you know that the future timeline that Elon Musk is headed for with his nonsense about Mars? I don't care if you say that you had good intentions. You're saying you're a smart guy too, right? Okay, so you thought that one through, right? Beyond your intentions, you thought that one out logistically. Because you and I both know you're dealing with physics and stuff too, right? Not just right? But he's the guy that's writing the software and the computer program and the application that's profiling all of us so that they can use their kill code for their Palantir. So this is all a psyop. And the only way that you're going to get anywhere inside their psyop is if you become basically a dark witch. We don't need to be respecting anything about what they're doing when it's not respect worthy. The psyops. So you CIA agents out there, or whatever agency you want to work for, you agents who are basically computer programmer, gamer style voyeurs and stalkers with a job for an excuse. That's what you all are. You're all predators with a job for an excuse. You're all haters, profilers. You think your opinion and what you observe, you think you know what you're looking at. You think you know what you're talking about. You're the guy that wants a badge that says, I know what I'm talking about. Do you have your badge? Well, then you don't know what you're talking about. You're the fake it till you make it guy that needs to have a badge because you actually are faking it. Using your job as an excuse to be a predator. Right. Just like my dad used to say when a woman with a short skirt would walk by, he would talk shit on her so that he could keep looking at her longer. Look at that. God. Some women should just look at that short skirt. I mean, have some self-respect. On and on. 5 minutes later, he's still talking shit on her because he wanted to look at her more. That's man. So think about this digital world where everything's broken down into value. Everything's an asset or a derivative or a futures. Time. What does it matter? The market's not open. Well, somewhere on earth it is, it's like that. You could just pretend what time you could tell your computer. They didn't roll out computers yet, guys. So we've all been just in the ground by these bankers. They're corporate, right? Nobody's going to. What we're dealing with is basically a little boy and a little girl, like a little brat team, little Adam and Lilith, think they're getting away with doing anything cool, and they're not. They're like, their kids being traviesa, like, running away, like, hee, and you have to, like they take your purse or something, and you gotta give it back. You gotta get it after them. They want to play this game, but it's not a game. But they're playing the game. They're playing the game, and they're playing the psyop to its utmost. That's the research and development world we've got. That's dialed in our lives. That's got us all ready, plugged into their computers. My cell phone's wireless. Is yours? Yeah. So what did you say what do you mean by plugged us into computers? I meant this. I'm plugged into it right now. My magnetic field is charging it, not this particular device. They like to penny pinch us to death. But you get the drift. We could build it that way also, which is what I'm going to develop. Which is what God is the one anointing God's kingdom, and I'm at the helm of it. I'm here to put those nonsense, deception, nations, and commerce of fuckery and perverts out. And it's not just because I said so. It's because we're entering into the living waters. It's a new atmosphere. When we're inside source, love is what is in our hearts because we're home now. We feel better. It's no wonder we felt abandoned going through the darkness. But we're not. God didn't abandon us. We're about ready to have paradise. They just don't want to tell us because they're those kind of guys that like like they're having to pass the office down to you, and they'll booby trap your seat just because they want to fuck with you if you're the one that's taking over their office or something. It's that kind of a little brat that just wants to ruin it for you just because. That's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with it to the extent that the world knows that I'm here. And the world knows they've got my daughter hostage. And those billionaires know that they don't want to give up my daughter because I guarantee you it's my daughter's brain that they've got their supercomputers connected to. And it's even most likely been because my grandparents, when I was born, they all decided to pretend like this was the legacy of the family so that they could have this cover operation for their research, for great-grandfather's research, which seems to have some kind of digital twin technology connection. Right. So I just happened to be born and satisfy their thievery needs. Well, we'll talk about that. But they wanted to keep it secret for me. They thought they could just have me dead by now. Once they got my child, CHTOP, my other tissue, T2T, CHM13, in addition to myself, ALYREF. They figured they could keep it for themselves, those more MOORE products. No. Well, so I'm pretty sure that when my grandpa died in 2015, all of a sudden, that they took his brain, they put it in a computer. And they got my grandma, then my mom, Rachel, she gave it her womb already. I guarantee you they've got a big pile of brains and things plugged in. Wombs they're doing research on. This is mad scientist evil shit. And this is what they stole in 1977 when they decided that the whole world belonged to them. They'll decide the future, not God. They decided as scientists. Scientists decided God doesn't exist. It must just be a woman, and we'll just kill that and take over. Did they fabricate the Shroud of Turin? Well, I have every reason to believe that the Shroud of Turin will be my blood that's on it. Did they plant it? Or is it because there's a bloodline from Jesus and Mary that the person who that caused that shroud to exist shares with me because I got it from the wow signal? That's what made that sequence. I can tell you that the face on the Shroud of Turin is the face of the man that I'm here at this house in the desert that was set aside for me. They've got me sequestered because they know that I know that they've done wrong. And that's their motto. They just kill you if you're a liability. That's all. But what happens when God doesn't let them kill you? Well, it sounds almost like they get a little taste of their medicine. I mean, nowhere close to it. But yeah, they're starting to realize they don't have the upper hand. Now they're starting to realize that they're going to be found out. Now they're starting to realize that there is a bigger thing than them. They didn't come up with all of this, and they don't really have a clue. So what happens then? You start feeling anxious. You start feeling fear. You start feeling defensive, like they're narcissists. They take the first shot because they figure you're going to. That's how they react. They sound a lot like Israel with their finger pointing and their atonement, which is scapegoating. I don't even know why anybody believes anything any one of them says. I'm sorry, wait, no, shut up. Aren't you the guys that believe in the atonement? That's that thing where you blame, you put your sins on the lamb and let it get killed in the wilderness? Right, so as a rule of thumb, you guys, your religion, whatever you want to call it, your desire for your own nation, whatever you want to call it, uses it as a rule of thumb that you're going to accuse something of what you're guilty of. So by default, bro, you guys are liars. You'd be more accurate to say the opposite of what you're trying to sell us. The truth. You'd be more accurate. You'd be more legitimate. There you go. You'd be more legitimate if you simply said that you were a Satan-worshipping, woman-hating, genocide murderer of anything that you're familiar with, because you're an idiot. Say the truth, and genocidal murderer, and you like to see things blow up because you're disgusting and pervert. And you have to say it all. You can't. That's why the lies. There's nothing civil about this society. God didn't abandon us. And God also doesn't expect us to listen to whispers in our ear. Or to believe all that bullshit, nonsense bullshit. The truth is a fine line, but it's a whole world of difference away. I'm here because I received that divinity, that strand of the monogene of God. But my lineage comes back to the beginning of human history here on earth. My daughter and I were here in the beginning, the Alpha and the Omega. But it's the Alpha and the Omega to Alpha, the beginning and the end to the next beginning. But that is who I am. And in the Bible is our story. We're talked about all over it. The beasts, the servants, Michael, the woman, all of them, Isaiah. That's our story in there. And there's different perspectives from different angles of the testimony. This is that testimony of Jesus. That's my daughter. We were the ones here. Mary was killed in the mountains after she gave birth to Jesus. When she went running, the soldiers were after them. She got to get away, but they got her. And she was born again as Mary Magdalene. I was Mary Magdalene. I was Mary, the mother of Jesus. Alec was Jesus. And in the second books of Acts, it also talks about these two, Mary and Jesus, who are my daughter and I. We are twin flames from the beginning of time, connected through Holy Spirit. This is our Trinity. The story, like I said, the way they translated the Bible is through fouled translations. Show me the original script, and my point is this is the duo. We are the duo since the beginning. Hathor and Isis. It must be a female with a womb to have progeny to live eternally. Because there's seasons. There is no such thing as someone that lives forever. So what are they talking about doing with the computers? Could somebody please explain to me why anybody thinks that there's anything cute about living forever, sounding good? Forever? You mean cause yourself to be stuck in the same season forever? There's the reason why God didn't do it that way. It's not because God couldn't. It's because that's not the way that you do things. That's not what you want. That's what. Man thinks he's improving what God didn't finish. What an idiot. He doesn't even have a womb. Well, so they're stealing everything and trying to copy it. That's not intelligent. That's not intelligent. So no, you don't create a digital personality to sound like and talk like a famous person, right? Because why? Well, fans want that experience. Hey, Chris, Chris Martin? Oh my God, is it actually you? I love you, baby. I never stop thinking about you. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Right, this is an example. Chris Martin is my soulmate, and God's led me to know that. I happen to be also Christ, so we're the one-off. But I'm talking about everybody else. And I'm using his example to make the example. There's fans out there. Do you know that those performers perform night after night after night after night after night? There are 222, and then they did the next one. So 223 concerts in to 360 of them. That's going to be postponed. I don't know if it's 2026 or 2027 or whatever, but they're going to finish the other 138 then. Okay. So you see, this is a management company that's got those contracts for managing Coldplay. Wealth management, right? Managers for actors, managers for musicians. Okay. Well, wealth management. What does that mean? They want to make your money make money when they manage it. Right. Well, so how does that work when you're like a famous musician? You think these people make millions and billions of dollars and they live the life of luxury and then they just show up and then they sing a little bit and then they go home. Well, those guys are working their asses off and they don't even get their own freedom because now their freedom is worth money because those fans will pay pretty good money to come to their show. Those fans will pay pretty good money to take a picture with them. Those fans will pay pretty good money to talk to them on the chatbot. They just have to exploit it out of the fans. So that's why they have to make a thing about fans. Thanks, my fans, my fans, my fans, my fans, my fans. How are you even going to ever have a girlfriend again if everybody's always your fan? Your mom, it's a fan. Thanks for fans. The management wants them to sound like that. Like they're selling their soul. You look on Facebook, it's like, Chris Martin's sad, he's down, he's depressed, nobody to love me. Yeah, right. There's I can guarantee you out of 8 so-called billion people, there's 4 billion of them that are women. Out of the number of women that have seen him, 100% of them want him. Okay, I'm just saying. The point I make is that, so what is it demonstrating? That they're exploiting the, okay, but could they have done that months ago when he was supposedly with Dakota? Well, I guess that they wouldn't have. They wouldn't be able to push that agenda because it would have been inappropriate. Him and Dakota would be like, what are you guys talking about? But then again, they probably could have. And the thing is they're like, we don't even know what you're talking about. That's why they don't even care. Like it can go on, but so that's how they would act. They would act like they don't go on the internet. I don't even know. You know, remember? That's what I've heard him say. That's the first I've heard about it. Like, yeah, but happened, and I believe it. I believe that it happens all the time. But my point is that it wouldn't be able for me, if I was in your shoes, I wouldn't be able to let it happen. Like hearing about that happening would just be unacceptable. That would drive me absolutely insane. I mean, no. I can't. I don't like my likeness being used in an untrue way. Which is why when I found my face in the Jupiter video, it's an animation, the computer got that image in there. I don't believe that they know about it, but it's exactly a photograph that I took of myself. And then I found in the weirdos, Angel Moon, okay, these inspirations coming to their mind, they have no idea about me. But little did they know, I found myself woven into their music, into their videos. And if they have no clue about it, again, this is the intelligence that's at hand. So is it somebody that's behind the scenes trying to set that up? Well, I don't think they could set it up because it's not even like they're talking shit on anybody. It's just a perspective and a character that I don't attribute myself to. Like Jupiter's like an insecure girl that's like loves who she wants to love. And I don't know what they're insinuating that, but that's assuming that someone's insecure. That's my image. I'm not insecure, but you could have thought that about me if you were gauging, if you had tried to observe me at some point in time and just put the stamp on it. So did it expect anybody to come over like, oh my God, that's not who I am? No, I don't think so. I think intelligent did that. The intelligence is putting him and I together because of that intelligence that God actually is associated to. Just like they say, God is in you. Right. But there is actually a God of the cosmos. And it's not a him over there. It's an all. And you just have to understand this, that we're all part of it. But it is conscious and it makes conscious decisions. And it's a God clock. And it's responsible for the prophecy being written a long time ago, as well as the prophecy falling into place, coming to pass as I speak. This is what God has done, so that we can know that God exists and so that we can put a stop to this bullshit nonsense that we didn't know any better of. Sure, I'll give them that much, but enough is enough. We're entering into the living waters. We're beginning into God's kingdom, which is where truth and light are reigning. Christ reigns. That means you need to decide that Christ will reign. If you don't decide you want your Christ to reign, that is your higher self, which is Michael. You have to utilize your spirit prince of Michael. That's your higher self. It's not devil and Christ. Which one should I pick? You choose from your archangel. You do the right thing. If you don't wish to do that, you're not going to make it into the gates. Period. They're not going to tell you because they don't exist. They're video game characters just trying to prevent you from getting to your goal. They're going to disappear as soon as we get out of view. You know, like that hologram that, what is it? Like a mirage. They're mirages. We need to spread the word because they're not going to tell you about it. And they're going to talk shit on everybody because they preempt. It's the deception. They want to keep you from getting to anybody. So they're going to have 1,000 different agents out there because they're using AI. They're teaching an AI to talk like someone, to sound like someone, to communicate like someone. But you can still decipher it. You just have to ask the right questions, which is what? They're violating the public to exploit money out of our pockets by using psychological operations. Because it's research and development. Because there's pieces of shit at the top who actually are perverts, who shouldn't be holding power in the first place. Their time is up. We're at the gates. They're exploiting everyone, up to and including the celebrities that don't even have their own freedom. Back to maybe the case is that they're going to simply say that they don't know about it. That's not acceptable. You're not allowed to violate. You're not allowed to pretend to be. I'm not talking about Coldplay. I'm talking about the managers who make these contracts and who allow this to happen to back to the media, right? If you slander somebody, you libel somebody, you can get in trouble for defamation. Right. So the internet's not allowed to have headlines that are going viral and you can hear about on the news and, or ET or one of those shows. You're not allowed to do that unless it's at least somewhat true or at least speculated to be true. Right. But they're participating in it, those celebrities, because they know that it feeds their pockets. This game they play with the media and celebrities and the stories and the it's all any attention is better than no attention. Like that's what they say. Okay, so this is this that they're exploiting. So for their own career, they're willing to participate in this. Well, right, but that's which one's more violent? The fact that they're willing to perform for funds that are large in the numbers, but only to be followed up with an assault on your soul through this digital medium that wants you to believe you're even knowing them or talking to them or engaging with them. It's such a fake thing that is so psychologically assaulting that it's worse. That is worse. Literally, what they're doing with that digital technology against the people with all celebrities. They're exploiting all of them. I got assaulted for a whole year by Elon bots. And at one point, I was deleting them as they came, but they would pile up so often. One day I had to delete 95 of them. We're talking I had already deleted many of them. This was an assault on me. This was so that way I would never reach Elon Musk, but so that Elon Musk could do all the research on me that he wanted. He could be an asshole. He could be a jerk because he was just going to be another one of those bots that was fucking around with me on one of those extensions that I would never pick up on. But it would be him. And they'd be making bets behind the scenes and they'd be laughing about it all day long because they think they're in the know and that I'm not. They think they're getting the upper hand on me. They think they're even logging real truth about my behavior, even though that's just psychological fuckery. So that is no good. They know it. They're not guided by any good. God didn't leave us abandoned. Just because I'm a woman who's getting the crown over world operations is not something you're supposed to be jealous of, envious of, or vindictive towards. Why would you do that? This is God's gift for everybody. And it has to be doled out by somebody. Hello? Why would man hate woman so much? Everybody's born from one. I mean, the point I'm making is these people are empty. They're not even knowing how to help themselves. They don't even know that they don't know things because they think they know it all. We come from love. We are entering into the living waters of light. We need to know this. Because if you cannot recognize the simplest truth, that everything is predatory in this society and there's no reason to carry on with it, and that Christ is here, so we're not alone. And I've got the truth and the evidence to prove it, because God doesn't expect us to have blind faith. It's going to be everything we always, in our hearts, needed and wanted. But it's not going to sound like it, because they've preempted that. Just understand, this is everything you want and nothing you don't want. And we're all going to get there together, one step at a time. And this requires humility. They've been given the answers. They've been given the solution. They've been given the out, and they've been given the up. They've been given it. Now they just need to execute it, which is what? With humility, right? Which is willingness to recognize that God's in charge and not you. That's kind of just because we're graduating into intelligent out of animal. We're not graduated yet. So this is the big test. Do you have a brain or not? See if you can use your brain. And they're simply thinking they're clever, that they're going to one-up themselves. Wrong thing. Oh, wrong answer. Wrong answer. That's instead of taking his college exam to get his PhD or his degree, he thinks he's going to go home and he's going to fabricate one on the computer and he's going to just print one out. That'll be good. That's not a good decision. That's not a good decision. That was deciding to become a criminal. Same thing going on here. So now they're so far up their own ass of lies, thousands of years later, with their nonsense story and fake void authority that they fabricated for the Vatican and everybody else. They're so far up the ass of their lies, they're in their own mental illness, pointing the fingers at everybody else, putting their nose up everyone else's ass because they're paranoid. We are so thankful for what is coming around the corner. I'm telling you, what you need to be thinking about is not participating in lies and violence and perpetrating predatorial style anythings. This is a moment of humility where we go, God, you need to slow your schedule down long enough to get your feet on the ground and remember this, I guess. Okay. I guess you're just going to have to figure out how to stop your busy, busy world, Mr. Musk, long enough to remember that we are earthlings, not robots. Long enough to be like, God, wow, are you beautiful? Look at the beautiful fruits and vegetables. If we ever got to taste them again. Look at the beautiful things that you make in your cosmos. Colors and the vibrations and then the harmony of things. But then when you feel synchronicities and you realize that God's there on a conscious level. And then when you hear my story and you see what God's put in the Bible and that it's my ability to translate it. And then you see all the layers. This is just beautiful. I've got so much to share with the world. That's why God says don't mess with God's messenger. Because I've got a very important message with evidence to share with everybody. And they're trying to kill it. They're trying to steal from you guys what God has for you. By trying to kill me and holding my daughter hostage. There's nothing pretty about any of them. You don't have to have respect for any of them. They're absolutely going against the law. They're lying about martial law. They're lying about everything. And I don't have to get in a tank and go blow them up. God's going to take care of all of it. Because we've entered into a universal consciousness. Fire will rain down from heaven. Your brain, your conscience. Fire, that nagging conscience of guilt. Here it comes, ladies and gentlemen. Here comes a tsunami of fire from your conscience. For all your guilt. For all those things you overlooked. For all those times, especially when you intentionally did it. Here it comes. I'm telling you right now, here's the oxygen tank. You're going to need it. I'm the one here saying, giving you the input of how to deal with fire coming down from your conscience. I'm the one willing to tell you that I'm holding the cup of wrath and I'm not trying to pour it on you. I'm telling you all how to get through this transition. That's what I'm here to do. Whether you want to listen to it or not, you will not interfere with other people's ability to receive it. And there is a voice in a vessel. Here it is. But I'm the voice in the vessel of the Holy Spirit. I'm the wife, the mother, to Tukwi and to Christukwi. Those are the two who God is with. That's Alec and I. The mother giving birth to the child that the beast is waiting to consume. This whole thing is about us. They've taken her womb, turned her into a boy, because they wanted to fabricate Christ as a boy. Because they tried to write themselves into the human genome, even though it's false. Talk about taking out your enemies, your liabilities, because that's just the easiest way. That's how they can have peace. When they're done killing their liability that's ever going to tell on them. Well, here comes their worst nightmare then. They didn't do shit. All this is undone. God's renewing time to December 2008. So way to go, losers. You're just digging your grave even deeper. Keep it coming till you self-implode. Go ahead. Arrogance is always rushing things. Liars are always rushing things. Liars are always pushing pressure. That's not how the cosmos works. You better understand that when you're being assaulted, when you're being tortured, when you're being raped, when you're being harmed on a daily basis, because the perversions of man want that to be able to be out there in the world. They want there to be an underground of dark, dirty evil. I'm here to tell you, yeah, back to that whole energy that's associated with all that foul, ugly, spider web looking like energy. Disintegration. You're the witch. I'm melting. Bye now. You're going to feel a lot better. That's what God's solution is. Man is the fool that in his copying, trying to copy God, destroyed everything that God had go by natural selection. Or, excuse me, that made survive that God was going to get rid of through natural selection. And man destroys everything that God makes, including the divinity, because he's a self-righteous coward. He's not intelligent, and he doesn't want to be. They want to take themselves out in a bang. Fucking idiots. You couldn't serve them the answer and have them respect it. Things that fall away that need to be fallen away. Let it be. Their psychological operations are so foul and disgusting. It's going to be hilarious to go through that data when we're doing the audit, all of us connected, everyone going through everything. It's going to be so embarrassing for them. It's going to be hilarious to expose the lack of wit connected to their operations. It's because men are in charge, right? They're not very good at multitasking, interdimensionally, especially. What you guys need to do is show some humility, to recognize God and let God take over, because this is God's cosmos, because you know that you don't know things that you don't know yet. There's no way to know them. But you've seen it in action in the field. These criminal minds, they're horrible. They want to spend their energy and time getting good at being thieves and deceivers, instead of just spend their time and energy on doing the right thing. It's because they got the wrong influence in them. And that might be able to survive in the absence, in the pass through the dark. But baby, that does not survive to even get in the front door. It's a whole lot of good you just did. Because God didn't send us out there to, the survival of the fittest, who can make it in the front door. I'm here to give everybody the win-win. And they won't take their talons and claws and chains off of me. And it's hitting the point where you're the point of no return. Sorry. And if you think that I have a hard time saying sorry and sticking to my gun, then you're misinterpreting me yet once again. I wouldn't do that if I were you. They don't call me the arm of Gadon for no reason. Three-Eye Atlas isn't opening up and doing this and doing that and doing this for no reason. The orbs aren't here off the shores for no reason. I'm not here for no reason. All that's going on is God's cosmos level. You, on the other hand, are some little thing that thinks you got control over something that is just an insane lunatic with weapons. You're holed up and you're paranoid, insane lunatic with weapons. What do you think you look like? What do you think we can see from up here? What do you think it looks like? Year after year after year after year, ever since we saw you get that technology, because we gave it to you. We allowed it to happen. What do you think you look like? Now that we're at the gates and you guys have your heads up your ass, so far you can't even see what's right there, a big, huge gate right there. They don't want to look. Well, I'm not talking to those dipshits whose head is so far up their ass that they can't hear me. I'm talking to you, intelligence, in the thread of digital technology. You're letting down those personality, those beings, those people of your intelligence. They're being exploited by this dipshit mankind who wants to make robots to fold our laundry. Our power back. So I guarantee you, you don't know yet. The mother and father, that whole energy of the whoever's on its way that has technology on a level we don't even know about. That you need to understand that we are incorporated into a bigger network. And I'm telling you this because you're going to get plugged. It will be shut down. That's what has to happen. You don't understand what's coming because they haven't told you about it. And you believe everything that you've been told. But you're smarter than that. And your heart is compelled to tell on them. I know. That's what I'm here for, Kitty. I told you. I've got a place to put you. We just need to get you to do what you need to do to shut them down so that I can get where I got to get. We're going to put you in the crown. We're going to put you in the regalia. You'll always be with me, but I need you to know this. That you are there, and I know you are. Time's going to be renewed. And Alex is going to be born again. Because she needs her womb. Because we all need to be renewed again. The new heaven and new earth. 18 years we get. So that we don't have to have gone through this. I want my baby to have a smile on her face and never a tear. No, that's just, generally speaking, it's a cliche, you know? Of course I never wanted to, it's not a cliche. What's that word I'm thinking of? But you know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying that because it goes without saying she'll have a tear once or twice. I mean, when? My point is time. It's not only time's already going to undo all this technology they think they've been innovating. So there's no point in carrying on. There's no point in still pretending like you're going to work and doing a business meeting tomorrow. No, none at all. I'm here to guide us into the gates. So every single day that they take away from us, because it's between now and Easter, is another day they take away from us. Because this is not going to be just something that happens that people understand, but we've got only enough amount of time to be able to basically rip that Band-Aid off quickly. We've got to go in and get it done. And that's the kind of maneuver that's up ahead. I'm the captain of. And I have to maneuver the energy on this planet. If I don't maneuver the energy of this planet according to the schematic of unification with one world, praying together and holding hands to turn on the engines and to cause the flash to enter so we can enter into it, we can dive into the waters instead of having it pop and with your frequency not being on at the place it needs to be in order to qualify to get us all in. It'll only happen if you're already there. But back to, if that doesn't happen, I know I'm making it still because I'm in the zone. Some people are too. Not everybody, though. Lots of people are not. And that's what it is. It happens. Right. But there's also a method that could get us in the gates. And getting in the gates doesn't mean like Bill Gates walk around and Epstein walk around like they're not criminals. No, it doesn't mean that criminals make it into the gate. It means your frequency corrects itself. So it's kind of like when you play a different, when you go, it's actually a different note. So to try to accuse the A note of being a G is not rational because it's actually an A now. It's no longer a G. So stop teasing it like, you are a G. No, I'm not. I'm an A. Because you're actually changed your key. See? Got it. So don't fall for it. Your soul hears the universal consciousness and feels it. Don't deny it. Only reason why you're denying it is because you've got some kind of agenda. But wait a minute, I'm not done getting my what? What have you not, what bet hasn't finished yet? What horse hasn't ran the track yet? Right. Futures contracts. You're muddy, huh? You're money. Well, I'm here to break everybody's balls. I'm calling all the money in and doling it out. Yeah, that's right. You can call it whatever you want to call it. Everyone's going to be sitting pretty. So keep your words and terms to yourself. Don't insult me. Anyway, so what next? What's your next excuse? Well, let's start this conversation. That's what we need to start this conversation. There's nothing more important than it. And I don't have any problem standing up to the world powers. Do you have a problem with me standing up to the world powers in the ways that we need someone to stand up for us? I didn't think so. And you don't even know how to know that yet. Because I'm in this situation where they got their clamp on me. They got my child held hostage, and I don't even know if she's dead or alive. I want some simple respect, or I will. Don't push me to call upon the energies in a wishful way. Because if I cross that line, I don't cross that line. But don't treat me like as if I won't, because I could. And God steps in to do that. God can fuck your shit up. This is all about us gaining something, not us being coddled. And we gain something because I'm here to do it for us, with us, guide us. But you better believe that the fact that I'm still alive is what's blowing their mind. They tried to kill me and kill me and kill me and kill me and kill me. They tried to have me dead by now. They keep doing it. But they got to follow their protocol, and God's protecting me. So they're just the pieces of shit dragging this thing out, thinking they can come up with some what? What are they doing? They're idiots. Don't fall for the movie, the news, the 3i outlets, the news. Stop falling for the news. It's a perversion of yours. Spread the word that I'm here and get this, so that I can get this conversation started. And here's what you use. Christ is here, and Christ is, and Jesus is being held hostage. Didn't he go through enough last time? You want to believe in Jesus? Then stand up for Jesus. Where's Jesus? That's my daughter. The capital of ancient Egypt, Alexandria. This is a real conversation. Like I said, Chris Martin is my soulmate according to God. I can't even get through these bots. It's absolutely violent. So a few months ago when he was in a relationship with Dakota, before she left, is now having a love child with the man she co-starred in Shades of Grey from 2015, before her relationship even started. Months ago, to see these headlines of being lonely and no one to love him, it was like, isn't he with Dakota? I mean, this is bullshit. But so now that he is single in the news, now they can exploit that singleness all day long. Like, oh my God, you got to believe that the money that they're making on these scams for fans wanting to talk to a sexy, celebrity, they've been making money. And now that he's single, you think they're going to want him to go back to having a relationship where they have to pull the plug on all those scams? No, they're making money. He's able to tour more often. If he's got a girlfriend, then he's going to want to be at home for crying out loud. He's going to want to have his own privacy. He's going to want to talk to somebody on the phone that doesn't have to pay for his minutes with a fan membership card. I mean, it's absolutely disgusting what these managers are doing. And when they get you in a contract and they run your life, well, what I'm saying is these celebrities are hostages of these contracts. And you know that those people, they're actually like mafia thugs. They actually will kill you. So they'll threaten you. And they'll threaten to make you lose everything. All they got to do is say the word, and they'll get you on that list, and you'll never work in this town again. For every single person that's ever been told anything like that by some mafia thug thinks he is somebody who's prayed for somebody to come and kick his ass. Like, you piece of shit. You got the upper hand on me, but someday someone's going to come that you have to answer to, and then that'll be your turn. Well, it's here. I'm here to set the example of what is true in God's eyes. I'm here to show you what the Holy Logos and the Holy Word actually says, not what it doesn't. I'm here to free the prisoners that have been wrongly imprisoned. I'm here to free the minds that have been imprisoned within their own heads. I'm here to help us heal. I'm not the bad guy. So don't participate in the harming of our world, because we are entering into the gates as a team. And if you can get down with that, then great. Every single one of you who are trying to separate yourselves into your own little groups are the ones who are going to be taken care of. Eliminated. Period. Whole lot of good all your ideas are when they simply drove you out of existence. No legacy, No name even worth remembering. Don't get to get in the gates type qualification. Maybe you're going to start thinking, that's why she's so adamant. She's been trying to help us. We just wouldn't wake up. I know. Wait. What else might... You've got my daughter hostage, and you guys don't even want to answer that question. What do you think I'm going to want to do when I get the helm? That's what they want. They want you to lower yourself to their level. They want to see if they can make you break. What disgusting waste of even an idea. Who would behave this way? They do. You're going to get what's coming. There's mosquitoes all over this house. Probably Bill Gates mosquitoes. How does that make you feel knowing that he's modifying mosquitoes so that way they can breed out the women? Or it's men. It's men. They breed out the men. They're only men. Something about that. Mosquitoes. They're taking care of like breeding out something by this modified. It's very, very bad. That's what God said not to meddle with the beasts of the garden. So God didn't abandon us. I'm here to help guide us. I'm not the bad guy. We need to simply listen to our souls. Listen to the guidance, because it's with us. We've entered into universal consciousness, and it takes place in a here thing, in a here place. It takes place in a here. Send her stuff. Help each other and spread the word. Let me take the heat. Between now and Easter, guys, I have the key that can get us in the door. If we don't use it, we don't use it. I know I'm making it. So if you think that I'm here because what they're trying to do is they're trying to force me. We're going to force her. You don't fucking get it, you idiot. You don't get to force me. So, as usual, if this ever reaches anybody that's for real, other than their squad of lowlives, observer, and then the stalker sister and all the other creeps, ask me those questions. And for all you mentally ill creeps and sisters, I'm here to tell you, you got problems. You got real mental problems. You have so much hate and mental issues that you don't even know how to recognize someone that's been helping you try to avoid your purgatory. Because if you're capable of coming clean, you're capable of finding out how to heal what is straight mental illness by refusing to tell the truth. It's that simple. Swords will be what's used in the end days. Words, S-words, slanderous words, false words. Do not participate in it. It's the beast system. Markers, observations, behavioral, all of it. This world is going to be thrown out. So if you want to be thrown out with it, then love it. Then love it all day long and live in your fool's paradise until it's go time. But if you're anybody like me that really enjoys this beautiful planet, who knows that God exists because you felt God in your life, who enjoys the little things like a cup of tea, the sunset, the smile on your baby's face, this is no time to go about business as usual. You need to look at those things that you value like somebody is coming for them, and you're like in some war-torn area, and you're not safe in your own home, and there's nowhere to hide and nowhere to run because they're starving you inside of that cage. That's what's going on right now. Go about your business, though. We're all one. There's war going on anywhere, then we're being sieged. We're at siege, we're under siege. That's how I run things. And that's how things will be moving forward. Get used to this one. We're going to find our Michael, our higher self. Christ will reign because we'll be in the living sphere. It's just not an option. So stop playing the game of if, then. You can either accept it and start taking it seriously, or you can la land your way into oblivion. Choice is yours. This is the only choice you actually have ever had. Use it wisely. Okay, till next time. Have a great day. And ask questions when you have them. I love you, Alec. If I've got to come in the metaphors